Hi class, this is Mr. Olson. The focus of this unit is on community health. This lesson, we will address part 2, injuries and personal assets. For this presentation, you will need a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper in order to take a few notes. Please take a moment to get your materials organized by clicking the pause button. Okay, boys and girls, let's get started. When you see the words injuries and personal assets, what words come to mind? For me, I think of unintentional and intentional injuries, confidence, compassion, and intelligence. For you, it might be getting hurt at a sporting event or something that you own that is really important to you, like Sony's PlayStation 4 or Microsoft Xbox One. Please take a moment and write down some of your ideas on a blank piece of paper. Remember to click the pause button, otherwise this presentation will keep going. Also, remember to bring your notes to class. As a side note, Mr. Olson is a Houston Texans fan. Measures of the presentation. This presentation will be successful if we can answer the lesson questions clearly and effectively, apply the concepts learned about injuries, injury prevention, and personal assets to our lives, share our knowledge and understanding of injury prevention and personal assets, as well as our experiences with our classmates. Lesson objectives. As a result of listening to this presentation, you will come to understand the following. What is the difference between intentional and unintentional injuries? What are common causes of intentional and unintentional injuries? And how do our personal assets, such as confidence, compassion, and intelligence, support our social, emotional, and mental development? These 3 questions will be answered throughout our presentation. Key term, unintentional injuries. Unintentional injuries can be defined as harmful acts that occur without any intention of causing damage to oneself or others. Unintentional injuries typically occur at home or in our environment. Some examples of unintentional injuries include falling off a ladder, falling down the stairs, getting hit by a car on busy streets like 537, and recreational areas such as Michael J. Tig Park. Causes of unintentional injuries. Well, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, unintentional injuries account for 2/3, or about 66%, of all injury deaths in the U.S. Causes of unintentional injuries are car crashes, as seen on Kozlowski Road, poisons, suffocation or a lack of oxygen to the brain, drownings as depicted in this ocean rescue, discharge of firearms, severe burns such as the 3rd-degree burn seen in the picture, and falls as illustrated in the ice skating example. Together, all of these account for unintentional injuries in our home, community, and environment. Key term: intentional injuries. Intentional injuries can be defined as self-inflicted and interpersonal acts of violence intended to cause harm. Intentional injuries occur when individuals deliberately harm themselves or other people. An example is the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks. Terrorists attacked our country by flying planes into the Pentagon and World Trade Center, killing thousands of innocent Americans. Another example of an intentional injury is suicide. Did you know that, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, suicide is the third leading cause of death in the U.S. among persons aged 10 to 14? Key term: personal assets. Personal assets are defined as something someone owns or possesses that is important. Typically, personal assets have value and meaning. They are symbolic and reflective in nature. Oftentimes, people think of personal assets as being their financial and housing investments, as well as their individual possessions, such as a bike or a car. However, I want you to think of personal assets from an entirely different perspective, which pertain to mental, emotional, and social health. These areas are generally not thought of as assets per se, but I think in the coming slide, you will think differently. Emotional, social, and mental assets. As previously mentioned, most people do not think of mental, emotional, and social health as assets. Remember, an asset is something someone owns or possesses that is important. That said, assets do not necessarily have to reflect a material object in order for it to be considered an asset. For example, confidence is an emotional asset. Confidence is something you create within yourself by believing in who you are and what you can do. Having confidence is key to confronting life's challenges. Compassion is another type of asset. Having compassion for others by volunteering for a soup kitchen to those who are less fortunate is an example of a social asset. This means you are willing to give of yourself for a cause that is greater than your own. The final asset we will discuss is intelligence. Intelligence is a type of mental asset. I want you to understand intelligence from two viewpoints. This is important because it will guide your future learning. The first viewpoint is a fixed mindset, and the second is a growth mindset. A fixed mindset believes that intelligence, personality, and character is inherent and static. People believe their potential is determined at birth, and it doesn't change. Individuals with a fixed mindset avoid failure, desire to look smart, avoid challenges, stick to what they know, view feedback as personal criticism, and don't attempt to change or ever improve. Contrary to a fixed mindset, a growth mindset believes that intelligence, personality, and character can be continuously developed. A person's true potential is unknown and unknowable. Individuals with a growth mindset continuously learn. They confront uncertainties, embrace challenges, overcome failure, put a lot of effort into their learning, and view constructive feedback only as a reflection of one's current capabilities, not their future capabilities. In summary, I encourage you to think about whether you subscribe to a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. Throughout this presentation, we address the following questions. What is the difference between intentional and unintentional injuries? What are common causes of intentional and unintentional injuries? How do our personal assets, such as confidence, compassion, and intelligence, support our social, emotional, and mental development? The purpose of answering these questions was to learn more about community health, and specifically injuries and personal assets. Understanding these concepts behind this lesson will help you now and in the future. Please visit the Schoology webpage and look for the assignment posted online. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to email me at eolson@freehold.twp.k12.nj.us. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this presentation.